Then we pump those profits back into the profit cycle to generate even more profits. And I know what you're going to say. Profits? Yes, Stan. You're soaking in them.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's your boy ExtrmWill, Extreme Tech. We're going to do another tech video and talk about Salad AI, what my 30 rigs are making, some of kind of what I'm seeing, some different stuff in the market and all that. Kind of get into it. To start with right now, we're seeing really high demand. It's not necessarily high demand. We're seeing really high, moderate demand. There's only 4 cards right now in low. I believe the 5070 I don't think is actually out yet. The 5080, which is too bad. I've got an idea for what we could do with the 5080s for Darini. I got an idea for that. We'll get into that. 4080s aren't seeing any love, and the 3090 Ti's aren't seeing any work. But I mean, even the 3090s up there in the moderate. So everything in moderate should be running at about 50%. So if you go over the course of 2 days with everything being at moderate, everything should pick up a job. Now, whether it's going to pick up a job that lasts multiple days or not, who knows? If you get lucky though, and you have a real high reliability score from all your equipment being on and running real long, you'll have a higher reliability score, which increases the chances of you getting the larger container jobs that last longer. So just leaving everything up and running and not messing around with it too much, not stopping programs in the middle, like just letting everything run, can increase your odds. So the higher reliability score, the better chance you have to get the bigger, longer containers and all that. So it should be a pretty good day here for the next couple days with this kind of demand. The demand's been high all day. I think it might have started sometime yesterday, so it's been up for a while. So we'll get in and take a look at how much everything is making. So we'll refresh this, and I don't even know what the actual proper way is to do this. Switch to a page, go back. Did that get everything? No. Switch to another page, go back. Select everything. Probably, I don't know for sure if it's showing this page or not. It's too hard to tell at the one machine. But if we look at this, oh man, I thought I was running a little bit better. I only have, well, technically I only have 9 machines on this one. This machine doesn't actually count. This is the one that I've reinstalled Windows on, so I think I still need to wait like another 7 days, another week for this one to fall off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 out of the 9 are running on that page, so that's not that good. Oh, still not necessarily that great here. 6 out of the 10 running there, and then only 4 out of the 10 running there, and then this one I don't know for sure if it's actually working or not. Let's see, I didn't look at the times on these. So the one at 23 days, we already know. Talked about that one already. That's the one that doesn't exist anymore. I reinstalled Windows and it gave it a new machine ID. 4 hours, I'm not really too worried about 4 hours. 5 hours, I'm not too worried about 10 hours. Getting a little bit more concerning. That looks like that's BCPC top 3 4060 Ti. So that's my third 4060 Ti. Looks like it's at 10 hours. I don't know if we'll see anything when we get over to that machine, but we'll look at it in a little bit. But if we look at what it's doing the last 24 hours, let's see, the last hour it made $1.50. So for me, because I have 30 machines, ideally whether I'm doing good or bad, the way I kind of look at it, it's not, I guess it's still just kind of like in my mind, it's not my profitability mark. It's, am I well above profitability? Like, am I doing above $1 a machine? So $1 a machine for me is $30 a day, which means I need $1.25 an hour to be there. So everything for me above $1.25 an hour is really good. Everything under $1.25 for me is no bueno. I mean, I think I'm still making money at $1.25. It's just not necessarily worth all the time and the effort at that point. But when I have this where it's like hours at $1.50, where I think if we'd actually look at this, if I would look at this through the day, and I've got a bunch here in like $1.80, $1.70, and we're back to like $1.50, $1.66, $1.75. It was a pretty good day today, $1.70, $1.60. For a while, it looked like it was probably averaging like $1.70 for the day. It does look like it did start to dip off a little bit here in the end, which I think is because it looks like one of my 40/90 jobs ended. So, but it says the last 24 hours, I made $38.81, which isn't too bad if I'm putting $30 at, where I want to be or not be. So that can be pretty decent. Now, today is not going to calculate out right because we're a couple hours in, so it says I'm only 8 hours in today. This says, so for yesterday, I made $39.27, so that's really good. Day before that, I believe I made a video for that. That was at $28. So that's no good. That's no work in the system and just been garbage. Day before that's $31.94. So that is technically up. It's above $30, but it's not the best. I was looking here, and something we're going to get into real quickly once I finish this before we get into the machines. Once I finish the earnings part. I was looking into something else possibly, but I didn't get very far into looking into it. But I'll share with you guys how far I am into looking at the other one. And then I did have a couple, looks like I had two pretty decent days, $38.24, $39.93, not too bad. And then $32 in the last 30 days. It's been all over the place. This is pretty funny too. It doesn't know how to deal with with there only being 28 days in February, so for like the whole month, this whole graph is going to look really weird because it comes down, and then the last 2 days it has to shoot back to the beginning, and then you can't properly check how much you actually made in the last 2 days in your 30-day thing. But back here we're real low. I believe this is still while I was mining Warthog, and I was just storing 10 machines on Salad. Overall, my thoughts on that: Warthog was just too much electricity. When I saw my electric bill, I mean, I think in about a week of Warthog on 20 machines, I used about as much electricity, well, probably a little less. I used my 20 machines in like 4 or 5 days was about $200 worth of electricity. Normally, Salad for me for the entire month for 30 machines is about $300 for electric. There may be months where if it's real busy, if I'm making like $45 a day, it might get up to like $350 for the month, but it's not going much more than that $350. I haven't seen Salad alone take up more than like that $350 for the month. Probably the most I've seen. But while it's doing that's $30 average, I'm not breaking $300 a month. So a little bit over. It might be a little bit more. If I do like $38.10 for the month, or if I do like $38 for the month, it might be like $325 for the month at my 15-cent electric range. So I do really like Salad because it does, I mean, for the most part, it's not running at full bore and full tilt the whole time when you're in a job. So you're using pretty low electrical usage for the whole thing. So overall, is it profitable for me? If I'm using $300 a month for electric, and this says I made $932 in Salad, then yeah, it's pretty profitable. But that does take into account all my equipment's basically all paid off. It was all basically paid off a while ago. I did put an investment into it when I started to convert everything over. A lot of it was from Brandon Coin's shop, bc/pc.com. He had some combo kits that wound up being really cheap. Wound up being the easiest way for me to get all the cards that I had existing that were in my Octo miners to get them all converted over, up and running. I didn't have a CPU farm, but I did have a bunch of computers because in the last bull run, that's how you were getting the 30 series cards. You were buying the whole computer. And then I was doing Chia at the time too. So I was trying to optimize everything out, and my goal on it, I didn't plan it out correctly, but my goal on it was I wanted to be doing CPU mining, the GPU mining, and the Chia mining on the machines all at the same time. But I didn't buy big enough CPU fans to properly do that. So I think I messed up some of the CPUs trying to mine on them with CPU fans that just weren't strong enough to cool them down. So, but I had a pretty decent amount of equipment to start with when all of this started. I think I started with 15 rigs, I want to say, before I started expanding at all. Just to prove profitability, to show myself that this was going to be good. It looks sustainable. And then I got 4 3090s real cheap. I bought a 4 GPU mining rig for like $1,800. And then I bought 3 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte cards, and then one 3060 12 gigabyte card. So didn't necessarily buy a whole lot. Yeah, I guess I bought a bunch of power supplies, and I had a bunch of NVMEs too. I probably had a good 15 NVMEs to start with, because for Chia you needed a whole bunch of them. So a lot of mine actually have 2 terabyte NVMEs in them. Some of them just have 1 terabyte. But when I started expanding, I was only putting the 1 terabyte NVMEs in them. But I did have a whole bunch. I did start with a whole bunch of the 2 terabyte NVMEs for writing all the Chia scripts out. They're all the Chia plots out. So, but I've definitely been pretty profitable. Everything that I've invested into this, I've already more than made back. But I don't know if I were to invest in it now, if I still could, because the earnings are definitely not as good as they used to be. As I was growing and expanding, the profitability never seemed to want to break certain points, like the $20 and the $30 mark. As I was throwing more cards on here and more machines on here, like the earnings slowly went down and slowly went down. Like the 4060 Ti's used to make $5 a day, and now you're lucky if you can get like $1.30 a day out of them. 3090s right now, for the most part, pretty much aren't running at all. All my 8 gigabyte 30 series cards were all doing $1.70 a day. Now that's, it's kind of unheard of. I think my 3060s are only doing $1 a day. The 3060 Ti's and the 3070s, if you're lucky and they can find work, they'll do like $1.30 a day. 4090s used to be able to do $10 a day. Now they're doing like $6.25. Bring that up, $6.21 normally. So it's definitely been interesting. I like it so far, though. It's definitely going pretty good. But I was looking into, if we get into, let's come back to the screen for when I come back here later. If you do want another option, I was hoping he was going to have a lot more on here. Son of a Tech did do a video on this. I think he spelt it wrong in his title, though, because up here it's spelled Nosana, and that's how it's spelled up here. And he spelt it he spelt it wrong in his title. So he just kind of gave a real quick overview on it. I don't know very much about it. I was going to start researching it, but since the demand on all the cards went back to being pretty good, and it looked like for the most part everything was really kind of running, I didn't really get around to it. But I would say for should learn how to pronounce your name too. Darnell? It's probably really easy, and I'm just being dumb. Is that Darnell? It's probably Darnell. Darnell. I can't read English. I should really learn one of these days. Yeah, Darnell. For your 5080, I would probably try it on this. I don't know how hard this is to do. I didn't get very far into looking into it. I just kind of said, ooh, that looks like that might be really interesting. It might be something I might want to look into. And then it looked like everything picked up enough on Salad where I was like, okay, we'll just save that for later. But it is something you guys might want to look into. I don't know I don't know anything negative about this project yet, so I can say that. I also don't know very much positive about it. But I do know whatever Son of a Tech tends to talk about tends to be pretty good and spot on. He does really good coverage on pretty much everything. So if you do have cards that aren't running specifically right now on sale, this one might be decent, but I don't know. So if we get into my machines, I've got 30. So the order we're going to go through them, I have 3 4090s, 5 3090s, 2 4070 Ti's, 1 4070, 3 4060 Ti, 16 gigabyte variants, 4 3060s, the 12 gigabyte variants, 3 3060 Ti's, 5 3070s, 2 3070 Ti's, and 2 3080 10 gigabyte models. So let's start here at the 4090s. So this is running X99 motherboard with a Xeon 20 core processor, 128 gigabytes of memory, RTX 4090. It's doing 25.9 cents per hour, which is $6.20 per day. This next one, Intel 12 cores, no, Intel 20 cores, 128 gigabytes of memory, RTX 4090. This one's doing 15.36 cents per hour. Should I have that up here? I don't actually have that one specifically, but it should be about $3.70 a day. A little bit, definitely under what I'd like to see. I'd really like to see this doing the $6.21 a day, but honestly, it not being idle, this is probably better. I don't think this is operating at a loss. I think this is still earning, but it's just earning at a very small margin. So, yeah, this one looks like it is actually right now. It is using 100% of the GPU. So this one is, it's going to be drawing some power, and yeah, it may not be profitable or not be very profitable. Probably just maybe just a very little bit profitable. All right, let's get to the next one. It just picked this one up. So I'm going to assume that this is, these first three are basically all the same. It's another X99 board with a Intel 20 core processor, 120 gigabytes of RAM, RTX 4090. I'm going to assume this is actually doing 25.9 cents an hour and making $6.21 a day. I think because it picked this job up in the last 5 minutes, you're not seeing the right total here, because this is your total for how much it's made and what it's averaging for the last 5 minutes. So if it's only run the job for 4 of those minutes, 1 of those minutes is averaging out at 0. So, yeah, I think it's actually doing. I would bet it's actually doing the 621 per day, and we're just seeing it ramping up the new job. All three of those machines are basically the same. I think it's a different vendor for each of the 3090s, or 4090s, but. So let's get to the next one. It's AMD Threadripper 1950X, 16 cores, 64 gigabytes of memory, RTX 3090. This is the one in the intro video, or on the picture for the tech channel. This is the computer in that picture. It's when it still had the 2 Titan cards, which I did take out of the box. So they're displayed up there. You can't really see them though, because I guess the background is too far away. But they are both up there on display on the shelf, the 2 Titan cards that were in there. And I had 128 gigabytes of RAM in there, but when I started Salad, I think the 3090s, at the time they looked like they weren't making any more, and I thought I was better suited splitting that RAM up, putting half of it in this machine and half of it in another machine, because I was just buying RAM like crazy to try to get as many machines up to 64 gigabytes as I could. So I did split it out, but this was my main PC in here forever, and love this machine. Machine's amazing. But with Salad, it wound up being real profitable, and as you can see right now, unfortunately, the last 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks to a month, since the since the 5090 came out, nobody has been wanting to show the 3090s any love at all, which is weird because I don't think they're showing the 5090s any real love either. So I don't fully understand what's going on, but yeah, 3090s just do not seem like they're getting the love they should be getting. I'd imagine it's going to come back. It's probably not going to be as good as it was, but I would have to imagine, just from like a cost benefit analysis, like if people are renting, you know, the 3060s and 3060 Ti's and 3070s, people are going to be renting the 3090s because it's just going to make sense, you know. So I'd imagine the 3090s will make a comeback. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to make a comeback in this, but I'd imagine it's coming pretty soon. We'll find some project real quickly here where they'll be profitable. And I think the 3090 is too good of a card and still is too comparable to really be out of everything yet. This is so much VRAM on the card. So if we go to the next one, Intel 12 core, X99 motherboard, 64 gigabytes of memory, RTX 3090. So this is essentially the start of, a lot of these are going to be basically the same build, where the guts of this with the X99 board with the Xeon CPU E5 2650 V4 and the 64 gigabytes of RAM. This is the bc/pc.com combo kit. I like them. I think it's a really great place to get started. You don't remember how much they are to get started. They're probably like $220 or something like that a piece. And you get the motherboard, the CPU, the fan, and the RAM. So all you need is the GPU, the hard drive, and the power supply. So it winds up being pretty cheap to get everything all up and started. You have a pretty decent little machine. So if I were to decide to want to turn around and sell this, we'll get into that later. I don't think I'm going to sell, but somebody had asked me theoretically about it. So at the end of all this, I'll read all the comments from the last video. We'll get into that for like resale stuff. But it's a pretty decent little machine. So, and I've got a whole bunch of them because I've got 4 of this exact machine pretty much. Yes, I think all 4 of these. Oh no, one of them has more RAM. So 3 of them are the exact same. It's all the same. What is it? The Gigabyte 3090. This one looks like it's running an awesome job. So it's 12 cores, 64 gigabytes, RTX 3090. I'm also running on Windows 10. If you're running on Windows 11, it is going to look different, so don't freak out if yours looks different. You're just doing what you're supposed to do, run on Windows 11, and I'm just refusing to run on Windows 11. So if I could go back to Windows XP right now, I would go back to Windows XP. So, but yeah. So this one looks like it's throwing $22 or 22.64 cents, which should be about, it's $5.42 per day. So that is definitely really, really nice. I mean, this used to be a pretty standard kind of job for 3090s, but now they're definitely pretty rare. But you can see there is some 3090 work out there. So definitely got to like that. And hopefully more of these are got some work too. I don't think they do. This one I think I do need to be watching. I might need to reinstall Windows on this one because I think this is the one right now that said it was at like 10 hours since this was updated. Now it looks like it was just updated. But this one's having problems, I think, with stuff. So I may need to reinstall Windows on this one. I don't know why it's seemed to lagging behind. I don't think it's picked up a job in forever, so I'm just going to keep kind of watching this one and monitoring it. Out of my 3090 machines, this one for some reason seems to be the least stable out of all of them. Let's go to the next one. So this is Xeon Intel 12 cores, 96 gigabytes, RTX 3090. Oh, wow. I was going to hope this was just a job it just picked up. I think it is a job it just picked up, but this looks like this is a 10-cent job. So it's doing 0.43 cents per hour, which is 10 cents per day. Boo. It's just like a transcription job. Normally they're really easy. It'll knock it out in like an hour, maybe 2 hours. You finish it, it boosts your reliability score. It's not the end of the world kind of thing. Just doing some of like the real little easy work that they do. Sound kind of does on the side. They're not making any money on this either. You're not making any money on this, but it does let customers who are trying to get an introduction into some of the stuff that AI can do. It lets them do a real low power job, real fast and easy. So all we're doing is like the customer is inputting in audio, and this is just giving it subtitles. So yeah, it is what it is. Boost your reliability score. Like when you lose power or something like that, or you lose internet, it's really nice to have that come back. I'm going to be losing power. I don't have the date scheduled yet, but within the next week or two, somebody's gonna have to come out here. I have a zap pack on my my power meter outside, so it's like an external extra surge protector because I have a lot of electrical equipment in the house, so I pay for the extra surge protection. It's broken, so not that surprising. I live in Tampa, Florida, in the suburbs out here, and we are the lightning capital of the world, so like electric storms here, very common. Power surges, very common. So in order for me to put a little extra layer of protection on it, I have that extra layer of protection. But because it looks like it did get zapped hard enough, they're going to have to come out here and turn my power off and swap it out and put a new one in. So I don't know when that's coming yet, but it is going to come. I have to turn everything off and turn everything back on. I'll probably lose a day or two, and then it'll kick it back to normal. But it is coming. Anyways, into this next machine here, we're on Intel Xeon 12 cores, 96 gigabytes of RAM, RTX 4070 Ti. It's doing 5.5 cents per day, which is $1.30. No, it's $5. Getting all tongue tied. 5.44 cents per hour, which is $1.30 per day. I don't know why that stuff's getting harder for me to say. I say it all the time. Some of these are like, I know what they are. Just need the words to come out of my mouth. Just make the words. See the words in his mouth. I just want to get them out of there. All right. Intel Xeon 12 cores, 96 gigabytes of RAM, RTX 4070 Ti. This one looks like this has picked up a monster job. This is probably one of the better jobs I've seen one of these do in a long time. They haven't done this since like the old pay scale. So this is doing 16.16 cents per hour, which I don't have on here, but that's probably about $4 a day. Let's take a look and see. 0.1616 times 24 is $3.87 per day. So that is pretty nice. This might be early on picking the job up because I don't remember seeing this a couple minutes ago and I was checking everything. So this could potentially be doing a little bit more, which is why I don't have it on one of my easy cheat sheet prices because I haven't seen 16.16 before. But either way, like the minimum this would be doing right now if it runs for 24 hours, which I know was confusing people in the beginning, which is why they changed how they calculate this all out so you can have a better idea of telling how much it was making. Because they used to tell you, which is why I break down how much you're making per day. The GUI used to tell you how much the machine would make per day. But people get really mad because they're like, how come I don't have that much money in my account? And it'd be, well, if you ran a $4 job for 1 hour, you only made like 20 cents or something like that, you know, or you made 17 cents. You didn't actually make the $4 because you only ran the job for 1 hour. So depending on how long you run the job for, can depend on how much you make. So this new way they break it down with your estimated how much you're making per hour, I think is much better. It relieves a lot of that confusion. But in my head, I still am processing this. Like, how much is this? How much am I making per day? Assuming everything is running. If everything's running today, how much am I going to make today? So I like to break it down for how much is it going to make for 24 hours if it runs for 24 hours straight. Because really what you want, I don't want the small containers. The goal is to get the big containers that run for 2 to 3 weeks at a time and just not have to worry about anything and try to get your reliability score as high as you can. So all you're doing is just picking up like 2 to 3 week long containers and nothing is ever down, and then hope life is easy. Is that how it works? Well, real life is real life, so, you know, does anything in real life work? You know, but this is definitely a nice looking job. It just dropped down a little bit. So maybe it's just doing a little bit less. Maybe it's actually doing, I do have 15.49 cents per hour in here as a job at $3.72 per day as an actual thing. So I don't know how much this one's making, but it's definitely doing good. It's up there. I will definitely take it. This next one, the most mind-blowing of all, the RTX 4070 has a job. This thing never has a job ever. This is currently my canary in the coal mine. When this thing is working, then I know things are going my way. So it's 12 cores, Xeon 12 core processor, 64 gigabytes of RAM, RTX 4070, and it's currently doing 5.5 cents per hour, which is $1.30 per day. So definitely pretty nice to see this one doing something. Because my thought too with going back to here, whatever this is, if I were to look at this, most likely this is the machine I'm going to put over there first, because this thing is never working. Yeah, the RTX 4070 unfortunately has such low demand. All the time it has such low demand, and if you get this in moderate demand, where I only have the one, and it only has like a 50% chance at moderate to get a job, it just winds up getting unlucky all the time, and it'll go days on moderate without getting a job. I don't think it's anything to do with this particular system. I think it's just the 4070 just doesn't wind up being a real good value for trying to do the AI work. I think the 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte card is a much better card to use than this one is. How much VRAM does this thing have? Yeah, because this has less VRAM, so it's just not as good of a card. It's just very but like on the weird thing, I'm looking on Facebook like Marketplace on like prices of stuff. I said people have these posted on Facebook Marketplace right now for like $750 for this card. Just seems crazy, man. I think that's like $200 more than I paid for it when I bought it. So, yeah, real good chance if it looks like if these are actually selling for $775, I might have to sell this card just to get rid of it, because it never runs. If I get another 4060 Ti or save the money and wait, and then when the 5060 Ti comes out, maybe get a 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte card. Might be a much better idea. But we'll see. I'm not real big when it comes into selling stuff. I like holding on to everything. Weird like that. Just hoarding everything. So this next one, Intel 12 core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 4060 Ti. This one's doing a little over 4.5 cents per day. So it's like a little over $1 per day. Definitely a weird job for a 4060 Ti. Normally this is a 3060 job. So, I don't know if maybe it just picked it up and still trying to ramp up to it, but at $1 a day, it should still be profitable. So let's go to the next one. Intel 12 core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 4060 Ti. This one's doing 5.5 cents per day, or 5.5 cents per hour. So that's $1.30 per day. There's a chance that other one might be doing the same job this one is. It might have just picked it up and still been within that 5-minute window where it's trying to calculate it out from starting the job, where it still has a minute or two, is averaging out at 0. Let's see. Let's go to the last one then. Intel 12 core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 4060 Ti. This one, let's see, how far out is that? 11 hours old here for my C drive, program data, sal WSL. This is technically a hidden file. I like bringing this up. This is for the most part, though. I'm pretty sure when this gets updated, that's what's updating right here, this last scene. This isn't necessarily you getting a job, it's just it communicating with the network. So Normally, I don't worry about this until it gets to like 24 hours. Not 24 hours. I think it's like 48 hours. At 48 hours, I have a video. If you go back to the homepage, it should be up in the top row for recommended videos on how to fix a broken WSL file. Basically, you just turn Salad off, delete it, restart the computer, and Salad will regenerate a new one. But it can get stuck sometimes. It's not super common, but it can happen. But normally I wait until it's like 48 hours old. Anything less than that, I think you're just messing with your reliability score. So, because sometimes it can just unfix itself, but if it's been stuck for a while, it's not going to unstick itself. So I put that mark at 48 hours. I think it's pretty decent and reasonable. Alright. So let's get down to the next ones. We'll open the 3060s and the 3060 Ti's. I'm using Chrome Remote Desktop. It's not necessarily the best way to do this, but I can't come up with a better way to do it yet. Because I'm using a virtual machine and I'm using a remote desktop, which creates it's terminology. It's not using a virtual machine. I'm creating a virtual desktop, which can create with the virtual something that the AI is doing. And for the virtual machine, Salad's using a virtual machine. Chrome Remote Desktop is doing something else virtual, which is it can interfere and create a conflict. So you can crash Salad out by doing this, but I really don't have a better way to check all 30 machines. If I was still only doing like 10, it'd probably be better that I just had each individual one on a monitor and just walked into the room and just took a look at them. That's what I did when I first started. But I think once you start getting above a certain number, like when I first started, I had them in like 5 rooms and I was walking all around the house before I got the internet fully upgraded to the 5 gig fiber and put everything out into the closet. The closet was great with 1 gig when I was doing like normal crypto and all that because you're not really using any data. But when I started doing this, it seemed like the way I had the internet rigged out in the garage, it did not want to do that much bandwidth. So when we went to the new stuff, I have the Eero Maxes. I got 3 of them here in the house. So one of them is in the garage, one of them's right here, and one of them's in the office upstairs to cover everything. So now my coverage seems to be pretty ridiculous and awesome. But yeah, I don't remember exactly where I was going with that, but I went somewhere with it. So this one, Intel 12-core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 3060. It's doing 4.31 cents per hour, which is $1 per day. Should be profitable. It's not super profitable, but it should be a little. Let's see here. This next one, Intel i7 8-core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 3060. So we should be getting into a bunch more of actual computers now that we're getting into all the 8 gigabyte stuff. I had these all separated by CPU core at first, but that didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it made sense when I was first trying to figure out like what was good and what was bad and what combinations worked and didn't. And then you come to realize, like with Salad, you're only using 1 to 2 cores for the most part. You very rarely use more than the 1 to 2 cores. You do still kind of want to have your best GPU on the one with the most cores, because your best GPU is going to be the one that someone is most likely to be willing to pay more money for that job if it has more cores and stuff, more cores and more RAM. So you are better off having, the more RAM and the more cores with the better cards, and the cards where you're only, if I'm only going to get paid $1 with this, like, really there's no reason for me to have my 3060s right now on the 64 gigs, which doesn't make much sense. It goes against kind of everything I've been saying for a while, because the 3060 12 gigabyte, I think the customers are actually more likely to pay you more than all of the 8 gigabyte 30 series cards because it has more VRAM. So like, I'm pretty sure the 3060 12 gigabyte card is actually significantly better at doing the AI workloads than the 3070 and the 3060 Ti and the 3070 Ti, which all make more money. But for a while there, the 3060s were doing more. I like the 64 gigs on the 3060, 12 gigabyte, but all of the 8 gigabyte cards, I think I like 32 gigs on them. But yeah, anyways, this one's making $1 a day. Let's get on to the next one here. AMD Ryzen 7 5700X 8 core 64 gigabytes RTX 3060. This is doing 4.5 cents per day, so that's about $1 a day. 4.5 cents per hour, $1 per day. I don't know why I'm messing that up. I guess it is late. It is technically past my bedtime. Intel i5 6 core 64 gigabytes RTX 3060. It's currently not having any work, so hopefully with this in decent demand, hopefully this one will get a job before these go back to low demand. Next one, Intel i7 32 gigabytes RTX 3060 Ti. This one's doing 5.5 cents per day, or 5.5 cents per hour, which is $1.30 per day. This next one has been a bunch of messages on it. What are these messages? Alright, that thing doesn't matter. It should have that Xbox stuff. Should all be uninstalled. I don't know why I'm getting Xbox messages on something that I'm pretty sure I have uninstalled off the PC altogether. So, Intel i5 6 cores 32 gigabytes RTX 3060 Ti. This is doing 0.43 cents per hour, so that's 10 cents per day. Next one, AMD Ryzen 5 3600 64 gigabytes RTX 3060 Ti. This one's currently not working. Boo. Alright. So then I have 5 3070s. Holy cow, we're going late. We're supposed to be 30 minutes and we're already at 40 minutes and I haven't even finished these yet. Alright, let me pound these out and then I'll try to get through some of those comments as quickly as I can. Alright. So Intel 12 cores, 32 gigabytes, RTX 3070, 5.5 cents per hour, so that's $1.30 per day. Next one, Intel i7 8 cores, 64 gigabytes, RTX 3070, it's doing 5.5 cents per hour, so that's $1.30 per day. My RAM on these kind of got thrown in, whatever wasn't in a job at that moment in time got shut off and got more RAM, so my RAM is kind of all over the place on these. AMD Ryzen 7 3700X 8 cores 64 gigabytes RTX 3070. Oops, this was supposed to come up first. I'm gonna say this is doing 0.44 cents per hour, which is 10 cents per day. I don't know for sure, but it looks like it's in the process of just picking the job up. So next one, this one looks like this is the one we were monitoring, that it had I reinstalled Windows on this one about a week ago maybe, because it wasn't working right. Yeah, probably like 6 days ago, 6 days and 15 hours ago. I reinstalled Windows on it because it wasn't working right, so it does look like it did pick up some jobs. It did some work. So it looks like it is working. It's just 3070, just not getting a job right now. So let's go to the next one here. Intel i3 4 core 64 gigabytes RTX 3070. Currently looking for work. This one, I don't think I've seen this one get a job in a while either. AMD Ryzen 9 5900X 12 cores 64 gigabytes RTX 3070 Ti. It's currently doing nothing. I did reinstall Salad on this one probably a week ago, but it doesn't look like it's doing anything right now. This one, AMD Ryzen 5 3600 6 core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 3070 Ti. This one looks like it's going 0.44 cents per hour, which is 10 cents per day. This one's still doing the real amazing job. Intel Xeon 12 core, 64 gigabytes, RTX 3080. It's doing the 0.13 or 13.58 cents per hour, which is $3.31 per day. So for a 3080, that is pretty amazing. I want to say this is probably the single best job I've ever seen one of these get. This does make me think I may want to put my next machine that I have, that 3080, put it on one of these bc/pc.com combo kits. I think I have a 3070 on one. Maybe put the 3070 then into that next machine to see if I can get one of these jobs, because this job is awesome. I think Don't Mind Me Mining, I think he's running a bunch of 3080s. I did notice today, I'm following him on my ExtrmWill channel, but I did not realize this ExtrmWill Tech channel, this is technically my second channel, so like I never really watch videos on this channel. This one I pretty much use for just making content, but I keep this separate from like the gaming channel. So you know, all of my YouTube that I'm watching, I watch it all on the other one, but I'm not following him on this. So if you do happen to watch this, Don't Mind Me Mining, I'm now following you on 2 accounts. That's why you might have got a notification about me following you, because I have 2 separate accounts. So now I'm following you on both accounts. But yeah, I am curious to know if he got one of these really good 3080 jobs. I guess I could watch his video. He just did one a couple hours ago. So the Intel Core i3 4-core 32 gigabyte RTX 3080. This one's currently not working, but I do wonder, I may do that. Oh man, I'm about to do a bunch of days in a row. We'll see here. I guess if I get out early one of these next 4 days in a row that I'm working, I might try to switch this around and put this on that 3070. The 3070 rig though still only has 32 gigabytes of RAM. I'll have to look and see which RAM that is. Maybe I can switch everything around and I can put, I might have to do like a 3-way parlay thing, where I pull the RAM out of a machine that's not working to put it onto there, and then I pull that depends. I don't even know what RAM is in that right offhand. I don't know if that's 1 stick of EERC RAM, or if, I guess if it's probably 4 sticks of 8. Which if it's 4 sticks of 8, then I can just throw that into whatever machine I take the 64 out of, and the 64 will definitely work on the X99 board. The nice thing about the X99 boards are you can buy the cheaper EERC memory or whatever the fuck it's called. The cheaper server RAM. So like, you know, building them out, trying to build it out at scale can be a lot nicer and easier. But I don't have any extra RAM, and I definitely have too much stuff on the plate I gotta pay for. I got like a cruise I have to pay for in like the next 2 weeks that I wasn't planning on. So we'll see what I can do exactly, but I may switch it around and put this on one of those X99 boards and see what that does. Alright, so that's it for all that. Let's take a real quick look at the comments from the last one. I'll just bring these over here so you guys can verify how terrible I am at public reading. So Vladimus said, at first I thought those were commas rather than decimals. Too bad. He's talking about up here in all the earnings page. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a comma there and how many total hours I've run, which is crazy too, because this total hours, for a while, this was more equivalent to the balance, where for every every 1,000 hours I had chopping was $100. So like this used to be like a lot better because it was pretty dead on for a long time. Every 1,000 hours was $100. And now it's just not anymore. You could say it's like that my machines aren't good enough or whatever, but I don't think anybody's getting enough work. All my 3090s aren't working. I mean, I try and tell me my 3090s aren't good enough. They were good enough for everything except like the last 2 weeks pretty much of salad. So, yeah. Funny comment. Then Adam Hughes. I have two 4090 rigs and a 3080 Ti. Right now it's hit and miss. Usually I only have one 4090 on a job, no matter what the need. 3080 Ti was doing a steady 5 cents an hour for the last few days. Nothing. Yeah, the 4090s, if it's always the same machine that's not running, there's a chance you may just need to like reinstall Salad or reinstall Windows on that particular machine. If machine 1 is always running and machine 2 hasn't picked up a job in 3 weeks or something, then you might have a specific problem with machine 2. If it's constantly alternating, it's hard to tell sometimes with text trying to figure out exactly what you're saying. You know, if it's one day machine 1 is running, the next day machine 2 is running, then yeah, you're just getting unlucky. You just need to build up your reliability score, let everything keep running, sitting on the network, don't turn it off, don't play with it. So it can be hard trying to tell, like, do I need to do something or not need to do something? Because sometimes it's not really good at telling you. Sometimes you need to look at some of the deeper analytics, like if one of the machines if you have a machine that hasn't made any money in a week, and you think it really should have been making money that week, you may need to like try to reinstall Salad or reinstall Windows. 4090s right now should definitely be running pretty constantly, but you can still get moments where they're down, but they shouldn't be down for very long. So that's my thoughts on that. Minor Joel, my 3060 Ti 7-day average is 0.73 cents a day. It's not too bad. Because I would say like you want like $1 a day. The machine's not going to make much more than $1 a day, so that looks like it's still running like 80% of the time at like $1.30-ish, something like that. Maybe it's running 70% of the time $1.30, so it's not terrible. You know, better would obviously be better, but worse would be worse. So, you know, sounds about right. And then on here, yeah, with the 3080 Ti doing 5 cents an hour, that's it was probably 5.5 cents an hour. It's like $1.30 a day. It's a pretty standard job, so pretty standard 30 series job. Rico, how much do you think all your equipment costs if you were to buy it today? He says $20K. Honestly, no, I don't think it'd be that close to $20K. I think it's a good question. Most of it was all paid off from ETH mining, so I don't know exactly. Because I'm going to go a little bit to go on a little bit on the high side, so I can boast a little bit. Probably worth about $50K, because I'm sure I paid more than $50K for it. Realistically, it could, depending on the buyer. If somebody was going to, like, if I wanted to sell, and somebody's going to be like, I'll give you $40K for all of it, I don't think I would say no if I wanted to sell. I don't want to sell, though, so $50K sounds about right to me for everything. Because I would say even, like, my junkiest of machines, they're still 1 terabyte NVMe with a 30 series graphics card, you know, and 32 to 64 gigabytes of RAM. So I might need to buy like a $50 case to throw it in, but most of them are in a case already. So you're probably still talking like $1,000 just for the bare bones on Amazon or on Facebook, like Marketplace. So if my bare bones machines are worth $1,000, the 4090 machines could be worth like $3 to $4 grand a piece. Because I think 4090s right now are going for like $2,500 for some stupid reason. I think 3090s are still going for over $1,000. You know, so like the 3090 machines are probably, you know, $2,000, $2,500. So I think it's, you know, probably worth a pretty decent chunk of change. Oh yeah, I probably have another 20 to 50 grand worth of equipment just sitting in storage bins. Like as one example of it, I have 500 terabytes of hard drives with chia plots written on them, all just in storage boxes with all of like the different like hard drive storage stuff to hook everything up. Like so much stuff. So much stuff. I can definitely see why Brandon wound up opening a computer store after a certain point in time. But like the problem is like I'm a hoarder when it comes to all this stuff. Like I still have all of my Blu-rays and my DVDs, even though I don't know if I have anything that plays a Blu-ray or a DVD anymore. Because like I do think the one thing I saw a lot in the last bull run that I think we'll see to a certain degree in this bull run, but I don't know if we'll see it as much. I don't know if we're even going to see an actual bull run. But like equipment finds a way of coming back around and being useful again. So like I do think a lot of the stuff that I have that I'm holding on to, I think I'll be able to repurpose into another project. Like when I got out of Chia, it didn't just like, oh, okay, now like, I mean, if I'd have sold everything off, I wouldn't have been able to reposition into salad. This would have been way too hard to do. I wouldn't have been able to prove profitability on it or prove scaling to myself to the point I would have wanted to have actually scaled. But because I pretty much had like 15 rigs off the bat already pre-built, you know, or already like mostly here in parts, you know, I needed a piece here and a piece there kind of thing. Like, you know, I was pulling GPUs out of the octo miners for days while I was building everything. So like I think you'll see everything kind of come back around and you'll be able to reuse stuff. Darnell, I should know how to say that. It's not that uncommon of a name. It's 4090. Got a job but only for 3 hours. 3 hours in 1 week, yeah, that's not good. I think he was saying he had to reinstall Windows on that machine. So hopefully after reinstalled Windows that fixed the problem, but I'm not sure. 5080 is useless. The 5080 would be kind of interesting to see, to try it on maybe on this if this isn't too hard to set up. Might not be too bad to try to set up on another AI learning thing. 4070 Ti Super had a job for several days. He thinks he's gonna sell his 5080, buy something once in. What I would suggest, personally, I wrote in here, I would probably hold on to the 5080 and hope it's better on another project. I think I did find another project that would be interesting to try it on. Or I would wait, and if you do sell it, I would probably buy 2 or 3 of the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte cards and hope that that one is better. Because that should be a really good value proposition, just with the amount of VRAM. It should have hopefully a really low electric cost with a lot of VRAM, kind of like the 16 gigabyte 4060 Ti. So I'm thinking that one's got to be really good. But honestly, I thought the 5080 was going to be good. I'm kind of shocked that it wasn't. So, I mean, do I really know anything? Do you really want to take advice from me? I don't know. Yeah, I would have thought the 5080 was good, but I think that other project that Son of a Tech brought up might be really good, or getting the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte cards. Because I tried looking at buying other cards, and like the prices on everything right now is just it is ridiculous. Like selling everything looks like it looks tempting. So the last comment, user 4x RIP, it's not worth it, give it up, sell everything you have. I mean, like how ridiculous everyone is like overpaying for stuff right now. Like selling stuff off it looks like it might be really tempting. Other than it's gonna be a giant pain in the butt, I think, to sell everything. But I mean, like if I can get like $2,500 right now for my 4090s, that's that is tempting. You know, I can get $500 more than I paid for them after they've probably all made me like $2,000 a piece. Oh, definitely, like that 4070 one is the most tempting. I don't know if there's any chance the guy's actually going to sell that for the 750, but I feel like I've seen a couple of 4070s listed in like that $750 range, and it's like it's like $200 more than I paid for it. I'm pretty sure I think I paid like $550 for it after taxes because I think it was like a $500 card, and I've probably made $400 to $500 on it, so I probably made the value of the card right now. If I could sell it for like $200 more than I paid for it and drastically increase the profit I will probably ever make on it, and then use that to reinvest into a new 50 series card, that might be a really good idea. But we'll have to see. All right, holy crap, I'm at an hour. I thought I was going to do 20 minutes based off the last one I did. Like, this will be 20 minutes. I have nothing to talk about. Jeez. All right, I'll try to get it back down to under half an hour on the next one. If you guys liked the video, like button, subscribe, come on back. I'll do another video when I have time. So we'll see. I'm about to do a 4-day block of work, so who knows? Like, if we have a random day we get out really early, I may do a video, or I may wait until that 4th day when I know I don't really have to get up in the morning. So, but I do have to go to bed because I got to get up to go to work tomorrow. So, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.